About 5 years ago, I was very afraid of working with an angle grinder. It seemed like a very dangerous and unpredictable tool to me. It roars loudly, spins at an incredibly high speed. It was genuinely terrifying. As time went on, I had to work with an angle grinder more and more often. Now, it's one of my favorite tools, and I use it every day. I work with an angle grinder daily. Today, I'll tell you how I overcame my fear, how I got rid of it, and how I'm now able to use this tool confidently and productively. The first step is to make yourself as safe as possible. The most important thing is to wear protective glasses or a face shield. I use this kind of shield. You have to protect your eyes. Most people only have two, and there won't be any replacements. Second, there's the noise, the loud roar of the tool. For me, the noise was a big factor in my fear. That's why I now always work with hearing protection. I use 3M Peltor ear defenders. I have two types and don't notice much difference between them. Both work great at blocking noise. Listen to this. Third is wearing thick gloves and proper workwear. I use these very thick welder's gloves. They are lined with some kind of fur inside, which makes them great for handling hot parts. You can hold a hot piece for a long time before the heat reaches your hand. And if you accidentally touch the grinder disc while wearing these gloves, it won't be catastrophic. There are a few other important factors. It's much safer to use a tool that's slightly underpowered for the job. Cutting will take longer, but it's much safer. If the tool is too powerful, it's harder to control, and if something goes wrong, the consequences can be much worse. I regularly use this Bosch angle grinder. It has adjustable speed settings, which is very convenient because I not only cut with it, but also use various brushes. This one has a 125mm disc diameter and 900 watts of power. If I need to cut something very small, like a 5mm nail, or if I need to remove burrs, I use this little tool. It's just a 12-volt Bosch angle grinder. Yes, it looks almost like a toy, but it's an excellent tool that I use quite often. An important factor contributing to the fear of using power tools is the fear of injury. To avoid this, an angle grinder must always be used properly, and then everything will be fine. When using a cutting disc, having a safety guard is absolutely mandatory. It's like wearing a seatbelt when driving. You're either buckled up or you're not driving at all. The same goes for the safety guard. It must be installed or you're not working. When cutting, always hold the tool firmly with both hands, one hand on the handle and the other on the body. Of course, you need to hold the tool so that the sparks fly away from you. To avoid burning your clothes, since sparks can easily burn through fabric, you should stand slightly to the side so the sparks flow past you. According to safety rules, you should cut by moving the grinder toward yourself. But here's one thing I don't quite understand. Maybe you can clarify this for me. When I cut along a marked line, starting from the top and moving downward, the stream of sparks flies directly onto the line. As a result, I can't see the line and can't see where I'm cutting. Sometimes the disc even drifts a few millimeters off course because the sparks block my view. That's why I usually cut away from myself instead. Another important safety point. Never use the side of a thin cutting disc. A 1mm disc is designed exclusively for cutting. If you need to grind something or use the side of the disc, you should use a thicker disc, like this one, which is 6mm thick. It's strong, doesn't flex, and won't shatter. So a thin disc is strictly for cutting only. Another important rule. Never try to cut a workpiece that isn't secured, unsupported, or hanging freely. That's dangerous and won't end well. Always clamp it down. Use a clamp, a vise, or at least brace it against something. Workwear should be as heavy-duty as possible. I chose this specific jumpsuit because it's certified for welding work, meaning it's resistant to sparks. But as you can see, there are plenty of patches here. All these patches are from using the angle grinder and sparks burning through. Sometimes it's hard to keep turning sideways to direct the sparks away, and they end up hitting this area, burning holes that I had to patch up. If you follow these simple rules, the risk of injury is close to zero. However, what is everyone most afraid of when working with an angle grinder? Of course, it's the fear of the disc shattering and pieces flying off at supersonic speed, tearing through everything in their path. Personally, I've never experienced this, so I'm curious to test what actually happens if the disc jams and shatters. Now I'll deliberately jam the disc at maximum speed and see what happens. There's a story about an athlete I know. Someone once asked him, "What's the secret to your success? What's your motto?" He thought for a second and said, "Don't be scared." As you can see, when the disc tilted, nothing catastrophic happened. It just frayed a bit. It didn't shatter. So now, I'll try turning the grinder to jam it completely and see what happens. Honestly, I'm a bit disappointed. I thought a disc explosion would be much more dramatic. But there was no loud noise, just this. Looking at the discs, they just got frayed and shredded. Maybe you need a bigger disc for it to explode dramatically. But as you can see, nothing happened. No fragments flew anywhere, and I didn't feel anything at all. I hope this information was helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye.